Hi everyone, it's Lilly Ghalichi Mir. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be teaching you guys how I cover my very, very dark under eye circles. Being Persian and I don't know, just being me, maybe I don't sleep enough, I don't get proper nutrition. I have not only deep set under eyes, but extremely dark and discolored under eye. It's almost like purple. It's so dark. You wouldn't know it from seeing my videos or looking at my photos because I am a master at covering my dark circles. So today I'm gonna teach you exactly what I do to get a bright, beautiful under eye. Okay, so I've wiped off all the makeup that I had under my eyes. I not only have deepness, I have darkness, but I'm a pro at hiding it, so let's get started. The first thing you need is moisturizer. Since I'm pregnant right now, I'm not trying to use any sort of harsh products. So I'm gonna use Murad's Skin Perfecting Lotion, and I'm just gonna put a little of it under my eyes. It's super important that you hydrate under your eyes before doing your makeup. When you wear concealer and powder, it'll get really cakey and flaky if you aren't super hydrated, and that will only make you look older. The second step that I do is something new that I've incorporated for about 2 months now, and I love. I do an extra layer of hydration with Becca's Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer. This is a really silky, soft primer. It makes your skin so smooth. So I apply that very generously under my eyes. So the next step that I do is also a product by Becca Cosmetics. It's called the Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This is one of my all-time favorite eye products. And you just apply it right under the eye before you apply any sort of concealer. And apply it in all the areas where I'm going to be applying my concealer. So here it is on one eye. This eye does not have it. I do the same thing to the other eye using my other finger. It looks so pretty if my under eye could only be this bright all the time. The next step that I do is apply my first layer of concealer. Yes, my first layer of concealer. I also love that super white, bright popping look under the eye. So for me, I have to mix more than one concealer. If I wanna go for a more natural stacked look, my favorite concealer is Naked Skin by Urban Decay. When I want to be super full coverage and have the brightest under eye possible, I like to use Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This concealer is really great because it comes with an applicator. I apply it right over the areas where I put the Becca Cosmetics product. So there's one eye. As you can see, it's darker than the Becca product. So now we're adding in our skin tone. So I applied a very generous layer of concealer under both eyes. To blend it in, I am going to use my pink beauty blender. If you're gonna use your beauty blender, wash it with soap and water. If you use a dry beauty blender, it's gonna soak up all of your product and it's not gonna be good. So I'm gonna take my beauty blender and I'm gonna start by blending the bottom corner. The reason I'm doing that is there's no product on this beauty blender right now. And this is the area I want to blend the most and I want to be the least white. So rather than going in here first, I'm gonna start with nothing on it, blending out the bottom. After I blend out the bottom, I go up the side of the nose. I even come down into my nostril. Your nostrils are naturally more red than the rest of your face. Then I turn the beauty blender because see how much product we have on it now. And I use the other blank side. I'll even go to the back of the beauty blender and go over that area to just really blend it without adding more product on. So now that we have the edge blended, I'm gonna go in and blend right under my eye. And now it's okay that I'm using the part of my beauty blender that has product on it because I want the most possible product in this area. We are done blending this side, and as you can see, it already looks so pretty. I'm gonna blend out the other eye and then take it one step up. Now that I have blended both eyes out, I am going to apply my second layer of concealer. This is where I bring in the heavy artillery. For my second layer, my favorite is Tarte Creaseless Concealer. I literally just use my finger to apply it. I put a little dot, and this time, rather than going all the way down like I did with the first concealer, I'm just gonna focus the product in the area where I need it most. This is where I have the most deepness and the most discoloration. I'm gonna take my beauty blender. Again, guys, don't forget to take all that product off. Start by blending this bottom area first so that it will have the most natural blend, and then blend the inside last. As I'm blending it, I will keep turning the beauty blender because now I have so much product in that area and I want to have less product. Blend the nose again, blend the under eye. The only area left to blend now is right inside. Save that for last, and I'm just doing gentle taps. You can't even see that rift of deepness that I had anymore. All the darkness is gone. The next step is to set this. To set my under eye concealer, I like to use a loose powder. My favorite is by Laura Mercier. It's a beautiful, fine, misted loose powder. Once I'm ready to set, I dip my same beauty blender in the powder and I go in right over the areas where I put the concealer. Only now we have product on there, so we have set the concealer. I like my under eye to be so bright that I not only want to set it, I want to bake it. So I go in and I take a second layer of my Laura Mercier, load it up. Then I get Van Nuys Fair Loose Powder, ever so lightly tapping the under eye to put a really, really thick layer of powder. I go back and I do it a second time. I dip it in the Laura Mercier translucent powder. I dip it in the Van Nuys Fair powder, and I just put all that powder under my eye. So while this is baking, let's go ahead and do all the same steps on the other eye. Okay, so I did all the same steps on the other eye and we are baking that eye now. To bronze my skin, I'm going to use the Too Faced Baked Luminous Glow Bronzer. For the summer, I really, really like everything I use to be luminous and dewy and glowy. It's a two-toned bronzer. I'm just gonna dip my brush in it. And before I do anything, I always tap it off because I don't want a huge amount of product going on my skin. So I'm just gonna bronze the outside corner. I'm gonna bring it up into my temples. And while I'm doing this, as you can see, it's taking off that area of baking, but that's okay. That's what we want. We wanna leave the inner part, but blend out the outer part. So I'm just gonna do the same thing again, bronzing up and bringing it into the temple and forehead. See how pretty that is already blending together. Now I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. Once you are done with your eyeshadow, with your bronzer, with your lashes, with everything else, it's time to take off all the powder that you have baking. Now, this is a trick that Ariel, one of my favorite makeup artists, taught me. I used to just take a brush and brush off the baking powder, but I felt like it took off my makeup too. I'm sure some of you guys have similar experiences. It looks so good, you set it, but then when you brush off the setting, it almost gets dark again. You didn't have concealer to begin with. So to combat that, what he does is before he brushes it off, he told me to put powder on your brush. I use a really, really light powder. I'm gonna use Studio Fix by MAC in color NW22. This is stark white. Way whiter than my skin tone, but that's okay because I'm only gonna set under the eye with it. To wipe off, this is a Real Techniques brush. So I load it up with this powder, and this powder is actually powder foundation, but again, I like my under eye to be really, really, really covered. I'm gonna tap off all the powder, and this particular color is really powdery, so you have to tap it off. And rather than brushing it off, guys, you want to push it in. And as you're pushing it in, it will naturally wipe off all the excess product that's baking. The same thing all over the areas where I put the baking powder. The biggest mistake is to just swipe it, because you're gonna swipe off everything that you just so meticulously placed on. Look at how beautiful and seamless that looks. All that darkness is gone, the deepness is gone. The only thing is, with the setting powder, we kind of made this too harsh. So I go back in one more time with my bronzer, and I just re-bronze that area, because this corner, I don't want to be too white. I want that to have some definition so that it looks like I have this really high cheekbone. I'm gonna do the same steps to the other eye to brush off all that baking powder. We have now brushed off the powder on both sides, and we have this beautiful, bright, white under eye. You aren't done though. This is where you would want to go in and put your under eye eyeshadow. I already have liner on, but there's no shadow, and I have a very heavy top, so you want to go in and put some shadow on the bottom so that you're not just so stark white. We also need to add glow and blush. The first layer of glow I'm going to put on is Laura Mercier's Indiscretion. It is a compact powder glow. I'm applying it with MAC 184, and I'm just gonna go right in this area and brush it on. Look at how pretty and dewy that is. I want to amp up my glow, so I'm gonna put a second layer of glow. I'm all about layers. This is a loose powder glow from the Shayla and ColourPop collab. It's called Boomin'. And I am going to go right back over that same area. All right, we added the glow, and now you would do all the final steps of your makeup: blush, your under eye shadow, any lip, and you're done. Flawless under eye. I hope you guys learned a lot from my under eye tutorial. I'm by no means a professional makeup artist. This is just the way I do my makeup, the tips I've learned from all my makeup artists. It works for me. As always, if you liked this video and you want to see more, like, comment below. I will answer all questions in the comments for the first 24 hours after this video is posted. And if you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.